good day everyone. So today we are going to perform how to make a fabricated blood and what ingredients must be used to make it. So these are the ingredients. First is the Nescafe powder, food coloring, flour, ketchup, dye powder or jobus, cornstarch, and hot water. And also, the materials needed for the activity, which is the beaker and plastic containers. And after that, we will name it or label them. And following a labeling, we will place each ingredient in a different container so that we may regulate the amount added to the combination and create the texture and appearance of pure blood. And now let's begin combining the ingredients. First, we transfer the hot water into the beaker. And next, we get the flour and pour it into the plastic container where the hot water is in. After that, you need to stir it well while the water is still hot so that the flour will dissolve. Using the hot water also, we mix the Nescafe powder onto it. Stir it well until it will dissolve. And next, put a food coloring into the mixture so that the color will turn into red. Stir it also so that we can analyze if it is enough or not. Mixing it well. As you can see, the mixture is starting to turn in color red. Now we will put the flour that we mixed earlier into our mixture because it can make the mixture sticky just like the pure blood. we added the ketchup to add coloration and stickiness also. And now, that is our finished product. As you can see, the color of it and the texture and quality is just like the pure blood. And that is the process in making fabricated blood. And now we will proceed to the next activity, which is how to locate point and axis of convergence. So in conducting crime investigation, it is required to put a cordon to avoid destruction and tampering of the evidences. So in this case, the suspect holds the knife and flips it upside down, causing blood to spill out. Hence, the droplets originated from the suspect's blade. And don't forget to measure the blood using measuring tape or ruler. Write down the length and width of the blood and put an evidence number. So similar to the first example, the blood came from a suspect's knife. However, this is because the suspect is walking slowly while holding the knife down, which causes several drops of blood to fall. Just repeat the process like in the first example, measure the blood, write down its length and width. this pool of blood is the point of origin, where the victim is being stabbed by the suspect. And also don't forget to measure its length and width. Now we have a projected blood stain. So first we have the low velocity. So here the blood is splattered with force but at a slow speed. And next we have medium velocity, where the blood is splashed and not too slow and not too fast. Next, we have a cast-off pattern. In the context of bloodstain pattern analysis, refers to a bloodstain pattern resulting from blood drops released from an object due to its motion. And next, we have transfer or contact blood stain. So, the type of contact blood stain we have is the swipe trace from the shoe print, where the suspect stepped into the blood, causing it to transfer in the surface and leave the contact. And we also have wipe trace, where the suspect wiped his hands on the wall, causing it to leave a print. Now let's proceed to the part 2 of our activity, which is create an illustration that depicts a blood spatter in its entirety. this case, we drop at least 1 millimeter of the purported blood on a piece of bond paper. And that is the result, as you can see in the video. It has spines and parent drop. Spines are the pointed edges of a stain that radiate out, and it helps determine the direction from which the blood traveled, while the parent drop is a droplet from which a satellite spatter originates. And now for the part 3, which is the blood spatter on different surfaces. So, with the height of 5 feet, we drop the alleged blood into the following surface parameters: in the rough surface, smooth surface, and clothing. So first, we drop the alleged blood into a rough surface. Don't forget to measure it. And second is in the smooth surface. In this case, we use window glass as the surface, and also don't forget to measure and put an evidence number. And lastly, we have clothing. Within 5 feet tall, we drop the alleged blood. And that is the result, as what you can see in the video above. And as a conclusion, we observe that the different surfaces has different results. Also, in the rough surface, the blood is thick and dried accordingly, while in the smooth surface, the blood didn't dry and it was perfectly shaped. While in the clothing, we observe that the clothing absorbed the blood. And now we have the part 4, which is the angle of impact. In this part, we determine the direction of blood through looking on the angle. We search for 2 purported blood with tails, measure their length and width, divide the width by the length, then use a shift and scene in the scientific calculator to solve the result, which is what we term the angle of impact. lastly, we have the part 5, which is the convergence and origin. So in this part, we splashed an alleged blood and we produced 20 distinct blood spatters, and we identify its point of origin using its convergence point. So first, we splash the blood. Then after that, we look for 20 separate blood spatter and measure it individually and notes its angle of impact. So we started at 36 degrees and we ended in 76 degrees. So in order to identify the blood's point of convergence, we then insert a thread into each sample. Additionally, we assigned each blood sample in an evidence number, and following that, we gauge each blood's degree and use the yarn to find its convergence point. In conclusion to this activity, the point of convergence being consistent in blood stain analysis is crucial because it helps determine the two-dimensional location or the blood source by tracing the long axis of individual stains, which is a key step in reconstructing the evidence of a crime. So, this information, along with the area of origin or the three-dimensional location of the blood source, is vital for reconstructing the events of a crime, including the positions of the victim and suspect and the type of a force used. And lastly, analyzing the angle of impact of blood droplets helps determine the direction of angle and angle from which the blood spatter originated, which is another crucial aspect of bloodstain pattern analysis. that concludes our activity, sir. Thank you.